And now, Robert Whittaker, to you first of all. Chael Sonnen on his YouTube channel. Well, he mentioned your name, and well, here's what he had to say.
Robert Whittaker, for reasons that I don't fully understand, was asked to talk about a rumored matchup of Chimaev versus Colby. He said that's a terrible matchup for Colby Covington, and then he broke down why. He talked about they're both wrestlers, being Colby and Chimaev, but he talked about Chimaev's got the striking, and that's not something that Colby does, not naturally. It's not natural for him. Now, I was disappointed. I'm not really sure what piece of data Whittaker's going by. I watched Kamaru Usman for 2 years not only be the world champion and not only be ranked #1 pound for pound, for the first time ever, publicly being compared to surpassing George St. Pierre. That's what I saw. And then I saw Colby stand up with him for 9 rounds. And of those 9 rounds, Colby Covington won 4. With what piece of evidence did Colby look like he was stumbling around on his feet and this wasn't natural for him? His hands are up, his chin is down, he's charging forward, he's bouncing, he's slipping, everything's in combination. What part of that appears to be a struggle? I'm asking the question. A statement was made, but now I'm asking a question. I would love a response.
Robert Whittaker, the floor is yours.
Okay, so he wants a response. And let me preface with... Preface?
Yeah, you got it there.
Let me start with, okay, I'm a big fan of Chael, and I like the way he speaks, and I think he breaks down analytics very, very well, okay? My comments towards the Chimaev versus Colby matchup, okay? Now, I don't remember exactly when it is that I was asked to do this. I'm sure I wasn't given a lengthy amount of time to study and research both fighters before coming up with them. I'm sure it was just off the cuff. Oh, what do you think about these 2 fights after I had just done an interview, okay? So that's the first part. Second part, I said terrible after thinking about it. I think that's a very harsh word to use. I think hard matchup is better to use. But in saying that, I still don't think Colby is an outstanding striker. I think he's a good striker, but I think his cardio and his threat of wrestling is what gives his striking the ability to even show itself. Now, the fights against Lawler and RDA that he uses in his examples, he didn't come in and put on a striking clinic, and he surely wasn't landing as many shots until later in the rounds after he had worn out both guys because he shot 400 times. Okay, that's massive. There's a big element to leave out. Okay, also saying he fought against Usman and he did 9 rounds with him. They had a striking war. It's because they both couldn't wrestle each other, right? Mm-hmm. That's the main thing. And also, I don't think Usman's that good of a striker. Okay, now. No, I don't want any beef with Usman now.
Bro, this is the longest backpedal I've ever heard in my life.
No, because I don't. It's annoying having to talk about this. Like I think he's a good striker. I think what he does is really, like, he's very good at what he does. Yeah. But it's the threat of wrestling that makes it so well. Like, he's not going in there like just in a striking match with most high-level strikers. So like. I'm not getting massive reads from Colby's striking level based on his fights with Usman. Okay, I thought because they both couldn't wrestle, it was like an average kickboxing fight. Now, him against Chimaev, I think what Chimaev does. Granted, I haven't seen Chimaev in a lot of fights really showcase his striking ability. Obviously, yes, he went toe to toe with Burns and had a good slugfest, but it was kind of messy, you know. But you saw there what he does well, he does very, very well. And you saw with the Holland fight, he has undoubted, once he has confidence in something, almost like unhinged confidence, he goes with it full pelt. I think the fact he does basic 1-2s so well, so effectively down the pipe, and he uses his reach and range so effectively will give Colby problems. I think it would make it hard for him to engage like that. And the fact that Colby can't threaten the takedown again, it becomes a match much like Usman and Colby, where he's just on the other end of the stick. Now, it was said that Usman, that they fought and he won 4 of the rounds. But 4 of 9 means he lost 5. You know, we're not giving Colby 10 rounds to fight Chimaev.
Yeah. Tyson, does Colby Covington beat Khamzat Chimaev?
I'd be going for Khamzat, but the cardio has to be in question, right? After seeing with Gilbert Burns, like Colby's like cardio is next level, so that would be my only question, like against what you were saying. So.
Yeah. Exactly. I think Colby's cardio, and you've a lot of people who have spoken on it said they've never seen someone with, he's got an extra lung. And I truly agree. I was there when he fought RDA, and it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen to have that amount of gas. But he gasses out a lot of his opponents and gets them into those deep waters where he can unload and just do whatever he wants by shooting, by the takedown threat. And his opponent's having to stuff that the entire fight. And then it's draining. You know, I don't think he, much like with the Usman fight, he couldn't do that. He couldn't just spam takedowns. He couldn't do that. So was Colby's cardio his greatest weapon, in my belief? His greatest weapon used fully against Usman. He couldn't use it. So we may see that same problem with Chimaev.
So bottom line, Whittaker versus Sonnen, UFC 284.
I don't want that smoke. I told you, I'm a fan of...
Go at him.
No, I'm a fan. He wanted a response. This is his response. Yeah. But I'm a fan of it. The only reason I even saw this was because I watch his stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's my opinion. And let me also say, most of my picks I get wrong. Okay, this is just what I see, and this is how, like, in you know, the fantasy UFC league, that's how it would play out on paper for me.